Change is inevitable in the IT field. Whether it's updating to new equipment or changing direction mid-project, you're bound to come across a lot of changes. In this video, we're going to talk about change management. This is just the method we use to ensure that changes are implemented as smoothly and effectively as possible. Most organizations have an official approval process for change management. A business commonly uses change order forms to document these requests. Change order forms are different for each company, but they typically ask for the change's purpose, scope, and extent, along with the risk analysis and rollback plan in case things don't go as expected. So, after filling out your change order form, what's next? Well, first it must be approved by the change board. A change board might consist of one person or many people who approve changes to the project. Board members might be managers, project supervisors, and maybe even the CEO. If you were developing this project for a customer instead of for in-house use, the customer would need to approve the changes as well. The first thing the change board will want to know is why you want to make this change at all. You'll want to explain why the change is needed and whether it'll improve a current process, save money, or add additional functionality. You might also be asked to explain how it fits within the organization's current strategic focus. The change board will also want to know the scope, what exactly the proposed change will entail from start to finish. A scope has many components, but it should always include outcomes, cost, personnel, and systems. Some other questions you'll need to have a ready answer for are, what are your desired outcomes? What exactly do you want to change? What are the desired deliverables? How will you know when the project is complete? The board will also obviously want to know how much this is all going to cost, whether in money, time, or resources. You'll want to consider which personnel you'll need to implement the change. Will you need developers, technicians, or administrative staff? Be sure to include the contact information for a point person who can serve as the change board's primary contact for the project, if it's approved. It's also important to explain which existing systems will be impacted. Most likely, you'll be working alongside live production systems, and any changes should be carefully planned out. Will there be downtime or potential conflicts? If so, you'll probably want to set up a sandbox to test the proposed changes before you implement them. As you can see, if there's literally anything you think you might need for your project, you want to include it in the scope. Before you propose a change, you also want to analyze the potential risk. Yes, even small projects come with some risk. Be sure to ask yourself, what could go wrong if we implement these changes? After you think through that, the next obvious questions are, how are we going to avoid these problems? How difficult will it be to backtrack if things turn out worse than expected? Is the outcome worth the risk? If it turns out that the risks outweigh the rewards, you probably want to rethink your approach. Now, before you start anything, make sure you get written approval for your changes. Written acceptance protects you, the change board, and the customer. This ensures that all of you have a complete understanding of the proposed changes and what they could entail. You want to avoid misunderstandings that could hurt your own or your organization's reputation, or that might end up causing expensive problems. Documentation is critical to any project from start to finish. During the implementation stage, you want to be sure to document all the changes you've made along the way. Include the specific approvals you've received. Once you're done, be sure to follow your organization's end-user acceptance process. This ensures that someone who's going to be using the system verifies that it's working as expected. And be sure to document this as well. That's it for this lesson. In this lesson, we discussed change management. We reviewed the information that's commonly needed for a change request. Then we went over the importance of documentation during a proposed change's approval and implementation phase.